So there was a charity race. So whichever community raised enough money, that community's game would become a main game at EVO. And it was between Melee and Skullgirls, and it was heartbreaking. It was very close for a while, and then in the final moments, it seems like the Melee community pulled out all the stops and ran away with it. That sort of competition basically just leaves everybody bitter. Unless your game wins, you're just super bitter, and the Skullgirls community was pretty bitter about it.
Every portion of the game was discussed ad nauseum, and I frankly don't remember it being an incredibly pleasant time, especially with how it ended. It didn't so much as leave a sour taste in my mouth so much as it just made me, I guess, appreciate the audience and people that already knew they wanted to enjoy it.
The fallout was the Skullgirls community didn't really trust EVO, and they did not consider EVO to be their tournament mecca the way that everyone else did. And then along came Combo Breaker taking over UFGT, and Rick had the idea of the games that go on main stage are whoever has the most entrants. And Skullgirls was like, let's make this our major.
When Combo Breaker started up, there was a real sense of, if your community shows up for this tournament will support your community. And I think that after a long time of not being at EVO, of kind of being the ignored game of the scene at large, the community really saw that from Combo Breaker and appreciated it.
Our event was rooted in beliefs coming out of the Ultimate Fighting Game tournament, and honestly the Midwest as a whole a little bit, which is anybody who plays a game should get to play a game, and if there's enough people that want to play the game, it should be a featured game, and if that attracts even more people to that game, then that featured game should have the ability to be treated like an attraction. So the Skullgirls community, I think, looked at Combo Breaker, which was espousing that ethos as loudly as I could proclaim it at the time, and went, well, if that's true, if we believe that to be true, let's test it. And so they did, and they came and they tested it, and they came in mass.
It was almost directly because of Kai and Ken and Black's activity inside of the community that Combo Breaker came to be. We started saying, okay, why don't we make a list of all the events we're going to go to for Skullgirls every single year? So even if they offer Skullgirls, if it's not on this list, the community's not going to be there. So if you really want to enter a tournament and you really want to play with people inside the community, you have to come to everything on this list. And Kai came up with that idea. And after that, we started kind of focusing all of our attention specifically on certain events that would promise us stream time for top 16 or top 8. And they would also guarantee us that we would have a pop bonus or something. So we would only go to events like that, and there would only be 4 or 5 of them throughout the year, and that became the Skullgirls Tour, which is what I organized and ran for 2 years. To be very honest with you, Rick is a really awesome person, first and foremost, as you know, but he was also the only tournament organizer that took time out of his day to be inside of our forums and actively have conversations with us every single time. And that helped a lot of people, and that also helped a lot of people associate Combo Breaker as a force for good, in addition to Combo Breaker promising us main stage if we broke a certain number, which we did, and then we got it, and everyone was like, that's Skullgirls on the main stage. It was a really big deal to all of us. So it's like, when we broke 100 people for the first time at Combo Breaker and we got to be up there on that main stage, before all the super glitzy lights and everything, it was just nice. It was just really, really nice and comfy. And it felt like we mattered.
I forget how many people, I know it was well over 100 that year, came together, and that first Combo Breaker, we had them on the main stage. We had Saturday Night Assault that myself and Kai and a couple other people put together. So it was just a really kind of coming out party for the game, where it finally got to be the big game 2 to 3 years after it came out.
Because of how well we were able to integrate with Combo Breaker and how well those tournaments were going, it became really clear for a number of years that if you could only go to one tournament, you should go to Combo Breaker. If you're a Skullgirls player and you've only got one, budget for one, time for one, whatever, clear out that day and go to Combo Breaker.
Thanks for putting on a show, and thanks to all of you for showing up and watching. Yo! Good night, Chicago!